Hello, John.
Well, hello, Nicholas.
How are you? You don't have to answer that. I already know, but
I'm not gonna. I'm crappy. No, I'm fine.
Yeah. Good.
All good.
Good. So this is, folks, this is kind of a rushed episode, not rushed for you, but rushed for us because I had a really interesting thing happen to me today. And honestly, John, it's kind of freaking me out a little bit. And I've said it a number of times to my wife and actually got into a conversation with my chiropractor about it today. And I'm interested to know, I'm not interested in people's judgment. I just want to throw that out there, but I'm interested in what people have to say and what they would do. I'm going to start with the conversation I had and how I got onto it onto the subject with my chiropractor. Because he was talking about redoing his office and he's having a lot of difficulty finding contractors to come in and do the work.
Yeah.
Partly because Nashville, as many places is experiencing quite a bit of growth. And, you know, as he put it, there are people building buildings and companies are making $5 million off of that building where my little renovation is going to be maybe $100,000. Right. So I can understand that. That makes perfect sense. You know, and we'll talk about the customer service ramifications of that later, because that was the biggest part he was struggling with.
Yep.
But, you know, he went on to say, I just don't understand why our whole society is kind of going down that path of not communicating and not, you know, just not caring and just being basically, he didn't say the words, but basically just being shitty people.
Yeah.
You and I have talked about that quite a bit. So I shared with him that experience. And like I had said, it's still making me very nervous. And it happened this morning, and this is now evening. So it's all day and it's still festering. And me and my anxiety have really been playing a number on me. But part of me, and I know I'm doing this on purpose, part of me is thinking this thing that happened 10 years ago would not have, well, maybe 15, 20 years ago, it would have been a good thing. It was a good deed. I did something that I consider a good deed. And nowadays I'm second guessing it from the second it happened all the way until now of whether or not I should have, even though it was the right thing to do, whether I should have done it. So here we go.
Yeah.
This morning, every morning I go and I take Peyton to school. We leave at about 7:15 in the morning so I can get her. It's about 30-minute drive, drop her off, come home to work. And every morning there's a young lady in the neighborhood with an entrance to the neighborhood waiting for the bus. I see her I don't know her, never met her. She's a middle schooler. And I wave at her in the morning just to be nice. And this morning I pull in and I see her and I wave at her and she flags me down. And I'm like, okay, what's going on? And I roll down my window and she's like, yeah, I'm so sorry, sir. I missed the bus and can you give me a ride to school? And I'm like, red flag. Okay. Where do you go to school?
So Peyton was with you still or
no? Peyton was not with me. Nope.
Okay.
No.
Yeah. Okay.
Yes. So I'm like, okay. You know, she's goes to the middle school. So she's not old. I talked to her for a minute and she's in 7th grade, same age as Peyton.
Right.
So I said, yeah, that's fine. I'll take you. It's not far away. It's 5 minutes away. So, you know, I take her to school, but the whole time I'm just like, this is why. And I asked her about her parents and I said, you know, did you tell your parents you missed the bus? You know, do you need to call them? I think you should call them.
Smart.
She's like, no, I already told them I missed the bus. And I'm like, well, okay, that's weird. Yeah. Why are you flagging down a stranger?
Yeah.
I mean, this is all going through my head where 20 years ago would have just said, okay, get in, let's go.
Good point.
And take her. Now I've got all these things in my head. So luckily my wife knows the principal at the middle school. So I told the minute this girl got out of the car, I called Jen. I said, call the principal, tell him this, tell everything that happened. You know, I told her everything that happened and she did. And the principal knew exactly who she was. And he's like, yeah, that sounds like something she'd do. So, I mean, I guess it's not uncommon. And he said, I will call her dad and make sure everything is good, you know, just as CYA. But that's the problem. That's where I'm really torn because, and I even said to Jen, you know, I didn't know what else to do. I'm not going to leave a 12-year-old on the side of the road. Yep. Her parents were at work, by the way.
How far away is the school from where you picked her up?
Miles or minutes?
Miles.
Miles, 3-4 miles.
Okay, far enough that she's not walking.
Right. Yeah. No. And you wouldn't, we don't have sidewalks or anything. She'd be walking on a highway the whole way. So it's not safe. Not safe at all. Her parents don't live. Her parents work. Cause I asked her, are your parents home? You know, is there someone home? And she's like, no, they're at work. They work in Lebanon, Tennessee, which is on the other side of town.
So what did they think was going to happen?
Don't know. I have no idea. And like Jen said, red flags, red flags, red flags. But we don't want to call DCS, you know.
No. But,
so anyway,
you know, there's something comforting about that though. Somebody that you see every day, the consistency. Yeah. You're a nice man. Obviously you're not trying to, you know, because you would have had many more opportunities if you were that creepy guy. Right. Who was, you know, doing whatever. She trusted you enough to ask you. Yeah, I mean, so she sees where I go with it. At least. Yeah, she sees the car every day. It's not like it. I'm a stranger, but I'm not a complete stranger because she knows I live in the neighborhood. She sees the car every day. Sure. But at the same time, it's just weird. And again, 20 years ago, it's a non-issue. But with all the shit that is happening in this world, well, and so and that becomes another piece of the puzzle. Is there really that much more shit happening in the world? Who knows? Or is it but the media telling us that there is so much going on because their job is to get news stories that make people go, "Oh, the horror." Yeah, and I actually want to talk about something that's going to take us off the subject. But you're absolutely right. And I also think phones and social media and the internet also have a lot to do with that. I don't disagree. It's all media. You're right, but it's all that part is all. It's out of control. There's no doubt. And you think, and so there are multiple arms to this. One is TikTok stars. Yeah. And you look at some of these people and go, really? This is, and you know, the rumors, true or not, probably true, about China using it, you know, TikTok to dumb down U.S. society. Right. I see that as a possibility. Sure. It's not helpful. That's for sure. No. And you get these. Well, I mean, it's funny and entertaining. So that's fine. It can be. So let's just for argument's sake, let's talk about that because right now TikTok is the #1 source for short form educational video as well. So is it just dumbing down or are people actually utilizing it? So I look at it this way. Is it really the Chinese that are dumbing us down or is it the people on TikTok that are dumbing us down? Because there is some good content on TikTok. Oh, yeah. And it's just like anything. You can't paint it with a broad brush. Right. It's the same with YouTube. I mean, I spend way too much time on YouTube. Way too much time. And it's, you know, on the other hand, when I needed to be a hero at Thanksgiving a couple of years ago, I learned how to carve the damn turkey. Right. So, exactly. Yes. So, exactly. And did it like Lisa said, I had no idea you knew how to carve a turkey. I didn't. Well, and remember, when you and I went axe throwing, I was just going to bring that up. That was awesome. Yes, it was. We go, this was us together. I think the last time we were together, because we probably did a PoddiMouths. Yeah, we did it. That was the second time we did one in person. Right, exactly. It was awesome. When Stephen was a guest on the podcast. We were, yes, that's right. And we had such a, oh my gosh, it was hilarious because we're going, okay, so it's axe throwing. I don't know anything about it. YouTube. And both of us are going, oh, that's pretty good. Well, I think Nick's first one, we get there to the axe throwing thing, and Nick just drops it right in the damn bullseye, and people are going, wow, I guess you've been here before. No, first time I ever threw one. Yeah, first time ever. It was awesome. It was a lot of fun. YouTube. Stay with us. Exactly. It was. But anyway, that was my thing. So, you know, I don't know why I'm nervous. I don't know why I'm anxious, but you know, it's one of those things. I know I did the right thing. You sure did. And I think you did the smart thing, not only by talking to Jen, but also talking to the principal. Having her talk to the principal and just make that connection. It's better to be safe than stupid. Exactly. But it's still making me nervous. And it wouldn't be so bad if I knew the neighbors. They've only been in the neighborhood for 6 months. Okay. And we see them, but no one's ever talked to them because we never see them out. The only person I see outside of the house is her when she's waiting for the bus, you know. Other than that, they're pretty private people. And so that's a good argument for getting to know your neighbors. Absolutely. And it's easier said than done. It is, especially in this day and age. Well, in the winter too, not so much where you are, but
Yeah.
A lot of people just shut it down in the winter and they're not interacting. Whereas summertime, springtime, fall, even you're outdoors cooking and, having fun. And so it makes it a little bit easier then. But even just a neighborhood barbecue, get together and say, hey, and
yeah, we haven't done anything like that since before COVID.
Right. And
the cocoa.
That's a really good point. And that's probably what caused, and that's just it. People have crawled into their shells more than
okay.
Before.
So I do want to walk that back a little bit. Everyone did get out and spend a lot of time with each other once during Coco. That was when we had the massive snowstorm and everyone was stuck in the house because of the snowstorm. Everyone did get out and spend time with each other. So we got to know our neighbor, but they weren't here yet. So that doesn't count for them.
Right.
Anyway, so that's my story. Still kind of reeling from it. Don't know. Again, I shouldn't, but
you did everything right. And so
hopefully it's all how it's storytelling,
Sure. Let me put the Grace Klassy spin on it. Grace Klassy was an older lady who worked at the bank in my hometown. So my house was at the end of the street, maybe 2/3 of a mile, not quite a mile to the school. And I would walk right by Grace's house. And if I timed it right, I'd catch Grace when she'd get in her car going to work at the bank. So this was middle school, high school, and, all the way through. If I'd happen to see her, she would offer me a ride sometimes. And well, yeah, thanks, and it was on purpose if I could make it work. She'd just take me up to the main corner, got me a little closer. Thanks a lot, Mrs. Klassy. Nice to see you. And she was just it was just a really nice thing. And she, small talk for half a mile or whatever it was. And it was great. So I think there are way more of those than the ones who are creepers.
I would hope so. But here's the other side of it. The part that really gets me is a 12-year-old asking for a ride from a stranger.
Yes, but you're putting. So how many times have you waved at her, would you say?
I don't know, 10, 15 times.
Okay, so this is the consistency. And right or wrong, it's what makes kids feel comfortable because of the consistency. And so, again, right or wrong, if I'm a parent, I'm a little concerned about that.
Yeah.
So I don't know that whole story, though.
Yeah, neither do I. So. And that's the part that really throws red flags. I mean,
for sure. But that's not something you're going to fix as long as you're protected.
Right.
And it was the right thing to do. It was the nice thing to do.
Yeah.
And that really, Nick, has got to overrule all the BS.
Hopefully.
That gets blown into our minds.
Right.
Seriously.
Yeah.
It has to overrule. Do the right thing.
Speaking of, you had mentioned, all the things that media says and all the different stories. Yeah. So I listened to Joe Rogan. I don't know if anyone knows that I listen to Joe Rogan once in a while.
No,
but I listened to
Rogaine.
Rogaine.
Okay.
Yes. So I listened to. I'm going to look to make sure it's still the most recent episode, but it was when I listened to it was the most recent episode. Let's see. Nope. He's got 2 other episodes after it. It is episode 1921 with Peter Zeihan. And Peter is a what is his title? He is a geopolitical strategist, speaker, and author.
Okay.
It was really good. And as I was expressing it to some of my friends who I recommended listen to this podcast, sorry, John, I hadn't gotten around to you yet, but some of my other friends. That it was interesting because it made me feel better about the world and still scared the shit out of me at the same time. Because
how so?
Well, all he does is look at numbers and statistics and history and puts it all together and comes up with predictions about how certain things are going to work. And then his group looks at how things in the world are actually happening and why in reality. And so he was talking about Ukraine. He was talking about Russia. He was talking about China and what was really happening behind and why certain things are probably going to happen and why certain things aren't going to happen. and they've all, and his group has predicted everything that's happened. He said, we've been spot on for, I mean, whether or not that's true, I don't know, but he was saying pretty much been spot on the entire time. And, you know, obviously Joe's going to ask, what about everyone is scared that we're going to get nuked and stuff like that. And he explained why that may or may not happen. And if it did, when and why, and how we can avoid it and all this stuff. So it was just really interesting because you're sitting there going, oh yeah, that makes sense. Makes me feel a lot better. And then he's like, you know, going on about the collapse of society. And he's like, the society is going to collapse. It's going to collapse in the next 50 years. But it's not what you guys think the collapse is. The collapse is basically everyone's going to withdraw to their own country. Everything's going to be fine. We're going to survive it just fine. And then it's going to regrow and we're going to become global again. You know, I'm making it, you know, taking a 3-hour podcast and bringing it down to 30 seconds, but it's basically what he's saying is don't freak out about the outcome, because that's technically what's happening, but it's not as bad as, you know, he's like the United States, for example, we are not in dire straits when it comes to food because we produce the majority of our own food. Yeah. We produce the majority of our own energy. We aren't as reliant on other countries as the media would make you think we are.
True, although there are some things like pharmaceuticals.
Yeah, he mentioned
98% produced in China.
Right. But he made the point. It's not for it's not because we can't.
Oh, no question. Well, I would say the lion's share, let's just say in the 90th percentile, is not because we can't. It's because it's cheaper to do it somewhere else.
Exactly.
And it's a, you know, so prices continue to go up.
Right.
As we manufacture locally in the U.S.
Right.
And is that inflation? Is that, who knows?
Yeah.
All I do know, and I'm not his expertise notwithstanding, if you follow the money, it will give you most of the answers.
That's exactly what he said.
Yeah.
Yep. So anyway, I'm not doing it justice. I know I'm missing a lot of pieces. I would highly recommend, if anyone's interested in that, if you especially are like me, who carries a lot of anxiety about stupid shit, listen to that podcast, because I do think it'll make you feel better. And it also brings me to a point where I said my life goal, if there's nothing else, I don't want to be a feared person, but I want to have the ability to make people feel good and scared all at the same time. That would be a life goal for me.
Good and scared.
Yeah. Kind of like people listening to this podcast. They're like, this is a good podcast, but I'm scared that these guys actually have a podcast.
I'm a little scared. Well, yes, I think that really has been our stated goal from the beginning.
Absolutely.
Yeah. I think it has. Yeah. You were talking about your chiropractor.
Yes.
And I think it's awesome you told him about that, about the encounter. Because obviously you trust him or her. Him. And that's awesome. I think that's very cool that you did. And talking about getting work done and having people, we talked about that. So you sent, and this is perfect, you sent me a real estate listing of a house
in Port Charlotte
today, in Port Charlotte, where I live. And Lisa and I looked at existing homes before we decided to build.
Yeah.
And we wanted to buy an existing home because we knew building would be this at least year-long shenanigan laden fest of, you know, getting stuff done and hiring people. Oh, we don't have availability of the material, and holy crap.
Can I point something out really quick?
Sure.
While you're on your story, every single time I ask how the house is doing, you say, you know, we should be in before Christmas. We should be in by the middle of January. We should.
You just misunderstood what year. You just misunderstood what year.
Okay. Yeah.
I mean, this year.
My bad. I apologize. So middle of January 2025.
Yes, baby.
Okay.
It's entirely possible. I'll come around to that because there is some good news.
All right.
Anyway, we looked at several, let's say, fixer-uppers. The problem was at the time when we bought, they were so overpriced, even the fixer-uppers. The one you sent is on a canal with a pool, and it has, I mean, it's 760 square feet. It's a
tiny
little dinky ass house, but it would be great fun to redo something like that.
Excuse me.
The trouble is, if it's $200,000, it needs a minimum of $100,000 of work, at least. And so,
and that place definitely did.
Oh, for sure. And you're sitting at a $300,000 house, and you go, well, hell, I might as well just build one. And that's why we decided to build a house. So go forward a year, which is to last week was a year where they cleared the lot. We today have countertops, and they're putting in the tile in the showers. And so next is lighting, and so we're close. And,
good.
But that's what they keep telling us. End of the month, middle of next month, we'll see. But we have to be out of here by the end of February, one way or the other. So don't let my builder hear that, because we told him the end of January. So we'll see.
Oh, nice. Okay.
Well,
hopefully he doesn't listen to the podcast.
I've told him not to. Yeah.
Good.
Yeah.
Well,
hey, have you heard about
usually
this
backfires.
It sucks. Don't listen to PoddiMouths. It sucks. And so I think he's stayed away.
Yeah, I could see the numbers dipping already.
But in terms of fixing stuff and hiring people to fix stuff, I get it that, contractors are going to take bigger jobs. Why wouldn't they? It makes perfect sense. But it also kind of goes hand in hand with what car dealers went through.
Yes.
It's very similar.
And that's what I brought up to him too.
Yeah, because you're right. When you see somebody that charges $2,000 over sticker price, and you say, well, that's really terrible. Well, you have somebody that's willing to pay it, apparently.
Yep.
And so that's one thing. But the fallout is what happens later. And it's going to happen to some of these contractors.
Oh, it will.
We're
seeing that in the car business right now.
You bet.
And that's one thing that our team is working with these dealers to try to do, is to help them get back to that customer experience that has been lacking for the last 2 years, 3 years, maybe.
Yep.
And it's definitely a struggle. It's an uphill battle when we're starting to lose people in these businesses, in these dealerships, who just, they're not used to actually having to work.
They don't know how to do it. Exactly.
Right.
They have no clue. It's you wanted the blue one? Well, no, I'd like to drive it.
Exactly.
Forget it.
Yeah. And so that's what we were talking about. His name is Dr. Hayes. So, that's what Dr. Hayes and I were talking about, is he's had 2 contractors come in now. One of them was 3 months ago and said, yeah, I'll get the bid for you. And I'll send it to you. And Hayes has reached out a number of times back to this, and the guy is just ghosting him, completely ghosting him. So he brought in another one. The other guy said, yeah, I'll pull the permits. I'll do this. I'll do that. I'll get you the plans. We'll make sure everything is good. And then you just let me know when we want to move forward. Guy's been ghosting him. He can't get a hold of him. It's like, and he said, all it's going to take, if you can't do it or you don't have the time to do it, call me and tell me. We're fine. We don't have to do this right now. I'd like to, but we don't have to. But this is a runaround. So now what do I do? Do I go find a third contractor? Is that third contractor going to ghost me? We're losing that customer experience, that customer connection. And that means all the difference.
That has been, probably not surprisingly to anyone who knows, that's been the issue in Florida. Certainly, I mean, since we've been down here, but since Hurricane Ian, even to the next degree, because you can't get fences. Yeah. I wanted a fence around the house and still do. But try to get somebody to put in a fence for you, because there's so much fence damage around here. These people will be busy for, the next 20 years. And same with pool cages.
Yeah.
Well, it's going to be tough to get the cage. Why? Well, because they've opted for someone else instead of you, because
they're going to spend more. Yeah.
Yeah.
But it's going to come and bite them in the ass. It will. It eventually will.
I think so. But I don't know if who knows? And who knows how long they would have been in business anyway. Some of them are just fly by night and off they go and make money while they can. That was certainly true after Ian. I mean, there were people who would take huge deposits, and that's a different topic, but it's still accurate. People take deposits and would never do the work.
Right. And that's part of it. Yeah. And that's one thing that I think, Dr. Hayes has lucked out on, is he never put any money down. Which, that also could have made the difference. Who knows? But
yeah, maybe
I was driving when I was driving this young lady to school today. Yeah. I drove by a place I drive by probably three times.
Her name wasn't Daisy, was it?
No.
Driving Miss Daisy.
Driving Miss Daisy. That would be fantastic. Anyway, driving down the road that I drive down all the time. And even I was down there 2 days ago, and 2 days ago, there was a lot with trees and everything. And today it's completely leveled. Wow. And people they're already starting to build.
That's
and it's a commercial property.
Here.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. That's everywhere here. And speaking of commercial, there was one, right on US 41, which is a major, highway down here.
Okay.
They had, it was an awesome structure. It's, I'm looking at it and going, whoa, that's going to be a really cool, they've got the slab poured and they have, steel, with studs everywhere. I mean, probably.
That was my name in college.
Steel stud.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I use those stud sensors sometimes because they keep getting stuck on me. So I have to. But this place looks amazing, and it's going to be huge. And then the hurricane came through.
Oh no.
And you wouldn't believe what it did to those steel
girders things. Yeah.
They were, they're all bent over, and they had to essentially start the whole building over.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Did I ever tell you about the straight line winds / tornado that hit when I was at a golf course in Minnesota?
Oh, no.
I'm trying to think. I was still in high school because we went out to dinner at a golf club near us. And this is a golf club in Minnesota that had for a very long time. And I would assume that it's probably still there, but I don't know. But it was a senior golf tour. So the senior PGA tour event would happen there.
Those are fun too.
They are a lot of, we always went to this one too. And, so they were preparing for it. It was the week after when we went to have dinner. Sorry, I have a itchy back. So I got to scratch my back. Sorry.
Itchy back.
It's my back. So we were there for dinner, and I had my girlfriend with me. It was my mom, my stepdad, and my girlfriend and I, eating at the clubhouse, and they were starting to put all the metal stands up on the ends of like the 18th hole and the 9th hole. So sure. big stadium stands, all metal. And then all of a sudden, it was one of those eerie things. Again, Minnesota, very flat. So you can see pretty much out, and you're looking out over the golf course while we're in the restaurant. And it's daytime in the middle of summer, and all of a sudden the sky goes black. And then that really deep green that you get before a tornado. So of course, we all went down into the basement and waited it out, and the power went out. We had a great time. I mean, my parents this was before I could drink, but my parents had a few cocktails because I was driving. Yeah. And, they still served us dinner down in the hallway in the basement by the club, awesome. By the pro shop. It was a lot of fun, and we didn't hear anything, didn't see anything, but then everything let up and we came back upstairs. All of the stands it literally looked like someone picked them up like a piece of paper and balled them up.
Wow.
And they were sitting on it was crazy. And all the trees on the golf course were laying on their side.
Wow.
I mean, it was amazing. Absolutely amazing.
That's pretty impressive because it happened so fast. And I'd never been through a hurricane before. And this one, in as much as we went through it, we were, 50 miles inland.
Yeah.
But to come back here where they really got hit, the straight line winds for 5 hours, 6 hours straight, you can look at trees, and even the trees, especially maybe the ones that didn't fall down, they're all like bent. Yeah. They are, and they're still that way.
Yeah.
We have them in the backyard of our rental here, and it's, you can just, I wonder which direction the wind was coming from. Everything is just all sideways.
Go that way.
Yeah.
This is out.
Yes. Going out. Anyway, it's quite a thing, especially just how relentless it is. And that's having been raised like you on tornadoes. We go boom and it's done. And you go, oh, I can't believe all this happened. And this is just like 6 hours of holy crap and, relentless sort of stuff. So I don't know if if you get hit with a tornado, it's, as bad as any hurricane, but
oh yeah,
hurricanes
it can
just
be.
go
It
on
can
for
be.
so much longer.
So, since we're on the topic of weather, I don't know if I sent you this, but it came up in Instagram. It was a video from 1978. And for those of you who are doing the math, that was the year I was born. 1978. And it was our good old friend, Leonard Nimoy, Spock, for those who don't know who Leonard Nimoy is, doing a thing about nature. And I remember my mom actually telling me this, but in 1978, the big news was they had been tracking weather for the previous 30 years, and all of their data and everything was pointing to the fact that in the early 80s, we were going to start experiencing an ice age. And it was funny because I'm listening to Leonard Nimoy talk about this, and it's everything that we're hearing about global warming. And I'm not being a denier. I'm just making a fact about media again. All the stuff we hear about global warming, it was the exact same thing, but it was all global cooling.
So why did they change what did they change it to then when that comes up? Now it's climate change.
It's climate change. Well, it was climate change back then, but
it wasn't. It was.
Well, okay, you would know better than I.
Ice age. It was global cooling, and this is what we have to look out for.
Right.
And it still.
Well, he did use the term ice age.
Ice age, of course.
Yeah, we're entering the ice age
because people go, oh no, that's going to be. This goes back to what I said. Follow the money.
Yeah.
Who makes all the money? And people will. You're a denier, and look. There is no question climate change occurs. It's occurred for thousands of years.
Right.
And so the biggest question I always offer is this: how much money does it take to avoid it?
Right.
How much money does it take to fix it?
Yeah,
no one can answer that question.
Well,
because you can't.
And it's obvious. Well, I would argue that you may not be able to, but at the same time, if that freaked people out, and it's 1978 was 44 years ago. If that freaked people out 44 years ago and now we're in a different climate crisis, maybe it did. Maybe someone said, oh, we need to fix that so that doesn't happen. Or they did it might have been money. It might have been some other invention.
You don't think you would have heard about that?
No.
Oh, they wouldn't have taken credit for that?
Well, they probably did in their bank account.
Oh, such crap. No.
I'm just
had they done anything that could make it. See, this is the mindset of some of those people. We could actually do something about it. They can't. They cannot. And so it's something beyond themselves that they can't control. I found this really funny, and I just got it secondhand. Ellen DeGeneres said something about all the storms in California, how they're just being, it's just incredible.
Being annihilated. They're being pummeled.
Right. And she said,
with stuff they've needed for the last 5 years.
She said, we have pissed off Mother Nature. And Jordan Peterson replied to her and said, maybe we should put a virgin down a volcano.
That's
and
hilarious.
I love Jordan Peterson. And that's why, because that's all they hold on to. It's it's Mother Nature and she's mad. Is she? Is that really what's going on?
It's that part of the country has been in a drought for how long?
Yeah.
A major drought. And this is nature fixing it.
And it's California. They are subject to mudslides.
Exactly.
And they're subject to.
And if you've been in a drought for 5-10 years, what do you expect?
Well, it's true. And that's just how it's going to be in some of those areas.
Now, I'm not belittling.
No.
I'm not belittling any of the people that have lost anything.
It's horrendous.
Yeah.
But it's like saying that people who live near the Mississippi River deserve to get flooded.
Right.
And they don't. That's not what the point is. But if you wanted to avoid being through a flood, maybe that's not the best place to build.
Exactly.
So your call. I mean, but you don't ever look at it from a position that, they deserve that. Or
no one there deserves what's happening to them. But
no.
Well, I mean, the folks that are here in Nashville now, if that came from California, they're going, hey, I made the right decision now. Not that they didn't think that when they moved here.
Wow.
Speaking of, I sent this meme to, or not the meme, it was actually a news story to one of our buddies in
which
LA.
Honestly, most of them are like memes, so that's fine. Yeah.
Well, this one you might appreciate. So, guess who is? There's another Californian moving to Nashville.
Really?
And more specifically, moving to Franklin. In-N-Out Burger.
Ooh, I had to do that with the mic on.
Yeah, I know that. That helps. That's why there was silence there.
Coughing into the mic.
Yeah, In-N-Out Burger.
That's awesome.
Yeah, a office here. I thought it was just a store that was opening. No, they're opening an office here too. So we're going to get
stores and
as well.
An office.
Yes. Yep.
Yes. Yay.
Yeah. Well, so I'm excited about that. I like In-N-Out. So
I might come and visit. That's really been the only thing preventing me from coming to visit you.
I know.
Is there's no In-N-Out Burger there?
Yeah. Well, I mean, you did come to Nashville and just decided not to visit me when you were here.
Whatever. You said, well, if you can't stay for the weekend, go to hell. Couldn't believe that. It's really rude. Oh, one more California thing.
Yeah.
This also just read in passing. A certain university from which you have a degree is now changing the name of their football field because the word field is racist.
What?
Yeah. So it has a name.
Can I return my degree? Will they give me my money back?
You shouldn't. I don't think they will. Yeah. Because the word field is racist.
Okay, so what are they changing it to?
I don't know. I didn't read the story. I just
all right. Hold on.
Yeah, we have to research this.
Yeah,
I'm challenging your alma mater, your MBA school. This is for those of you just listening. This is Nick deep in thought.
Yeah. Well, this will piss me off if it's true.
Hey, and if it's not, I'm kind of glad to at least make you do some research. If you're just listening, Nick, your beard really looks good. It's nice and like trimmed and I think you need to stick with that, but I don't, and I refuse to kiss you even though you've asked more than once.
Okay.
But Jen might do it. Yeah.
Has nothing to do with the football field.
What is it?
It is the department specifically decided to remove the word field from its curriculum and replace it with practicum.
Oh. Shut the hell up. Practicum is racist.
You heard it here first, folks.
I can't believe it's practicum.
Yep. Oh, wait, here we go. Nope. It's official. United Airlines and USC agree on LA Coliseum naming deal. So that's what you also read. Okay. United Airlines and the University of Southern California have reached a new naming rights agreement for Los Angeles Memorial Coliseum to resolve criticism that putting a corporate name on a stadium disrespects the role of a World War I monument. The renovation, nearly century-old facility, USC Trojans football. The deal is $69 million over 16 years. Starting in August, it will be known as United Airlines Field at Los Angeles Memorial Coliseum.
They're calling it Field.
They're calling it Field. Yeah, but United Airlines.
They're not calling it
practicum.
USC practicum.
Yeah.
Hey, could you break that word down for me?
I don't know. So when I was there, I didn't have to have a practicum. I had to have I had to do a thesis. But now you can replace. No, wait. I'm sorry. Mine was was not called a thesis. It was called a practicum.
Whatever.
What
field are you in? Yeah. Oh, you racist pig.
Right.
What field did you study in? Oh, that one over there with corn. Wisconsin.
Yeah. Very nice. Well done. Well done.
Actually.
So that was a fun tangent.
Well,
let's do more of those tangents.
I saw it and I'm glad that I didn't read through the whole thing because I would have known. Practicum would have stuck in my head. But
and that was only one story, and I don't even know if that was a trustworthy source. I didn't look at. It wasn't like the LA Times, trustworthy.
Wow, trustworthy. Yeah.
Did I say that out loud?
Yes.
I'm so sorry.
LA Times. Yeah. Could you just give us the New York Times feed, and we'll just publish it here?
They just publish it at different times. That's about it. Oh
my gosh, Times. Well done.
Thank you.
Yes. Oh, that's awesome. Okay, so we did very well on that. What else did?
Yeah.
So speaking of Jordan Peterson,
yes,
his daughter is Michaela
Peterson. Okay.
And a very attractive young lady. She has had a lifetime of illness.
Okay.
She has had I don't know what date ranges, although I did hear the whole story. She's had a hip replacement.
Oh,
She's
wow.
had both of her ankles replaced. She had autoimmune disease issues, overweight, just terribly sickly her whole life.
Okay.
And she changed one thing, and it changed her life.
She
5 years ago
became a vegan.
She went on the carnivore diet.
Oh, did she?
She eats nothing but meat.
Okay.
Or I should say animal products. And the first thing anybody does is say, oh, really? How healthy can that be? Well, I don't know. Ask the lady who's had her body completely
and she's
replaced and removed.
And now she's had a couple of kids, looks like.
She has, and she is doing podcasts. And so she talked her dad, Jordan Peterson, into doing it as well. He lost 66 pounds.
Wow.
And dude is in,
he's pretty fit. Yep.
Jeez. But wasn't that way, a year ago.
Interesting.
Yeah. So kind of a unique thing. He talked to our friend, Joe Rogan, about that as well.
Yeah. Was he on? I'm going to have to, because I listened to that podcast, or a podcast with him on there. But he must have come back, because I don't remember that part of it.
You know how they take segments.
Yeah.
And we'll just redo them. But
yeah,
you can find those everywhere. But anyway, I thought that was kind of interesting.
That is very interesting.
I don't know if it's for everybody, but it's
the
opposite of vegan for sure.
I think that's a really good point. I think I think anyone that's considering using diet, and I'm not an expert, got to throw that out there. That's my, my non-legal training.
Yes.
I'm not an expert, but anyone,
that is not your practicum.
Not my practicum whatsoever. If you're looking at what diet works best for you, try some with doctor's advice and figure out what works best for you, because for some people it's going to work great. For others, it's not. It's my wife wants to be a vegan. She wants to be a vegan.
Sure.
She can't. It's not healthy. And even with supplements, and trust me, my wife takes a lot of supplements.
Sure.
Even with supplements, she couldn't, she did not feel good when she was 100% vegan.
Yeah.
She has to have certain other things in her life. So, there are a lot of, I know some other vegans that went vegetarian because, they felt better, strangely enough, when they ate eggs.
And I think you go through changes too, as you get into these diets. And that's why, a 90-day run is usually the best way to do it.
Yep.
Because often the first month you're going to feel like crap anyway.
Oh, absolutely. Because you're detoxing.
It's true, but you're changing everything about how your body interacts with food.
Yep.
And especially if you're all meat.
Yeah.
And it's interesting because you think about what they can use. So it's butter and it's dairy, some dairy. It's eggs, steak. They're big on beef, and not like filet. They want you to do ribeye with fat in it.
Right.
And they want you to you can do chicken, I guess, but they prefer beef. And
right.
I don't know. I could do a steak every day. Sure. Not a problem. But wow, I'm not sure about 3 times a day or twice a day.
Right. Right.
So
and so I'm different. I have tried kind of that sort of thing, but I can't do that because it actually affects my sleep. Because my body doesn't digest red meat. I love red meat. It doesn't digest red meat as well as some other things. So, I feel much.
I'm sorry to interrupt. I think the key though is, and this is how we've been taught that, this is good, this is bad. And it's not like that.
No.
It's how does one interact with the other?
Exactly.
That's the part that people miss. And so that's why I could eat a quarter pounder with cheese, strip off the buns, and eat the damn burger. And while it's probably not the best thing ever, it's something that is not nearly as bad for you as eating it with the bun and all the shit together.
Right.
That's the part. And so that's just one microcosm of all of the things. Well, I hate red meat because I feel like crap when you have it with what? Well, bread and dairy and
that's exactly it. Yep.
And, So
exactly. And it's cocktails is a very good example. So I have tried sober January and failed at it. We won't go into what, but no,
funny.
I have, but that's
as long as when you were taking Daisy to school, you weren't drinking. That's fine.
Exactly.
Yeah, okay.
But that's the thing is I normally, except for the holidays, we talked about that on a much earlier podcast, except for the holidays, I normally don't drink during the week, and I might have one or two on the weekend. When I do that, I feel fine. No negative effects. But over the holidays, when I was having a cocktail every single day,
sure,
I felt like shit. I absolutely felt, just lazy and out of it. And so, getting back into my normal schedule where I'm not drinking during the week has been fantastic.
Yeah.
Some people, we've got friends that don't drink at all just because it's not that they don't like it. It's not that they don't want to. It's not that they're alcoholics. They don't do it because it makes them feel like absolute garbage.
Yeah.
And they don't want to feel like that.
Well, and the older you get, the longer it takes to recover from that crap too.
Yep.
And so, as much as I can do a martini with anybody, I just can't anymore. And,
right.
And that's okay. It's a good choice to have. And it's one.
Absolutely. And it's
one less thing to worry about.
You enjoy it. So now it becomes a special thing. So every once in a while you do one just because it's special, not because it's going to make you feel good. But.
Yeah, you say that sometimes, and then you go to the next day. Oh hell, that was not special at all.
I'm not talking about 5 or 6, John. I'm talking about 1.
Well, you know my rule: martinis are like breasts. One's not enough, and 3 are too many.
That's right. Yeah, that's absolutely accurate. Yes,
that's my rule.
And I think that's a good rule to end on. I think so
too. Do not put that as your description.
No, here the description this week.
No, martinis are like breasts. Maybe you should.
No, maybe
Come on.
Well, so my wife occasionally listens to the podcast, but not very often.
Jen,
if you noticed the last episode title, it said "Hot Wives" in it.
Yes.
I came home from dropping Peyton off in the morning, and all of a sudden I'm like, I hear my voice. And it's Jen listening because I'm like, oh, you're listening to it because it said "Hot Wives," aren't you?
That's
and she's like, yes. But it wasn't a very long, it was not a very long part of the segment. Like,
that's
I know.
Hilarious. So you sucked her in.
I did. Yeah, I did. That's what I'm always looking for. So this week is going to be Grace Klassy, but I'm going to double check the name and spelling.
Klassy. Good.
Okay. And then pool cages and stud sensors. So that's this week's
stud sensors. I still think martinis are like breasts. Not a bad
maybe we'll talk about that on the next episode, and maybe that'll be the name.
Ooh, okay, we'll bring it up. Okay, so those of you who heard that already, just forget about it. Pretend you didn't hear it. Yeah.
Right. Well, they're just going to roll into the next episode anyway, so they probably aren't even paying attention.
They're just going to roll their eyes into the next episode.
We already said the podcast was ending, so they probably shut it off going, oh, that was it.
Thank goodness.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, they're dying to get out. Come on.
Are you done yet? Good Lord.
I've been done with my walk for half an hour.
Says Bill. Yep. Anywho, folks, have a great week. Thank you so much for listening. Head up to PoddiMouths.com, check out our new site and some of the items that are up there, including, we haven't mentioned this in a while. Head up and go to our merch store and see if you can find something that you might want.
Do it.
I need to order a new t-shirt for myself because mine is worn out.
Yep.
But we've got some good stuff up there. Check out some of our partners and past episodes. And we'll see you next week.
Look forward to it. See ya.